When I look back now at my life and I kind of reverse engineer where I am today, so I think almost everything stems from those 4 years. Just you can trace it back.
Really, yeah.
It's almost like high school matters.
Almost.
High school matters. Come on, let's talk about it.
Welcome to High School Matters, the podcast dedicated to conversations that I have with my former high school students. My name is Randy Appel, and I've been teaching high school since the year 2000, and I want to thank you for joining me for this special episode. Although I had planned on taking a short break from the show, due to the current events taking place in Israel, and with my current guest, I felt like this episode needed to be heard at this very moment in time. My conversation today is with a former student of mine named Bours. Aaron was in my chemistry class back in 2006. In high school, Aaron was a charming and intelligent young man with an infectious sense of humor who credits his 4 years in high school with shaping his entire life. Sometime after high school, Aaron made the decision to join the Israeli Defense Force. He and I both enjoyed every minute of this entertaining and seemingly normal discussion, with no real understanding of how relevant some of the topics we discussed would become just a few months later. I hope you enjoy this very special episode of High School Matters. You've traveled the farthest of anyone to be on this podcast.
Yeah, and I appreciate, obviously, you sending the jet. That was really cool. I didn't know High School Matters had its own...
Because we need to get guests from all over the world, obviously.
Of course.
Because no one stays in Great Neck.
I actually believe that most people do stay in Great Neck. That's what's pretty wild about it.
Or
Manhattan.
Or Manhattan,
Or
yes.
Miami, no.
Or Miami. Well, we got to get people from Miami.
Oh, true.
Have you listened to all my podcasts?
I listened to 2.
Oh, that's it?
Sure enough, yeah.
How come that's it?
Well, I've just gone on living my life a little bit, and I guess I missed your podcast along the way. No, to be fair, I would love to have listened more. I think I also, just living in Israel, the time difference makes it difficult to...
Oh, because it's live. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, they've been up for 2 years. What are you saying?
It's so hard, just the time difference and the travel between Israel and New York.
Well, are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
All right, why?
Well, I haven't talked about high school in a very, very long time, and obviously I live in a place where running into people from Great Neck is not so commonplace. So, that makes this a pretty fun subject to dive into.
Okay.
And also, you're sarcastic as fuck, which makes this, just that much better.
One of the reasons I like doing this is because it puts me in touch with a kid like you that I wouldn't have been in touch with. And now because you messaged me on Instagram and you live in Israel and you're now in New York, it's nice that you're able to come in. Because if you came to New York, there's a 0% chance we would have seen each other.
That's correct.
Right, unless you ran into each other.
Unless you continued to frequent Deli on the Green.
That's right. Oh, you still go?
But, well, I do.
You do?
Yeah, I figure if I'm going to pay $5 for a coffee anyway, it might as well be saran wrapped, and it might as well be the size of a small jacuzzi.
Fair. Okay. So another funny thing is, anytime we ever communicate in any fashion, you still use this bizarre language that we used in class to communicate with me.
Well, I assume that you didn't evolve or adapt since then. So
From 2008.
I just match the level of, lingual intelligence that I think you have.
But that's interesting that I don't think there's ever been a message you've ever sent me that didn't include an extra L.
Yeah, I actually choose words where it's easy to insert an L while speaking to you. Balthazar.
So what did that mean to you that happened?
First of all, I think it made you very unique. You had quirks, right? And people respected you for showing those and being human and not trying to hide who you are. And I also think you balanced well, the idea of being a strict teacher and having high standards, but also kidding with us and being kind of, on our level in that sense. So you earn the respect on both fronts.
That's good.
You can, I guess we can stop now.
That's it, I got what I needed.
That's right. You said you hadn't done this in a year. You needed your ego.
I just needed a boost, and now we're good. All right, this is great seeing you, man.
No, but in all seriousness, I think that balance was something exemplary. And I think there's a reason people are not lining up. Clearly, you haven't done this in a year. But it's...
well, no, not because they don't want to do it. It's because I stopped it.
I think it's great that people are so willing to come onto the show, and says a lot about your character and the way you were with us when we were teenagers.
So why do you think people want to be on High School Matters?
I don't have some crazy, traumatic, or life-changing experience that happened to me during high school. I just had an amazing high school experience. Like, when I look at Great Neck North High School, I consider myself extremely lucky. I think we had an all-star education. What were we, number 8 in the country or something? And to have that as a foundation for the rest of your life, if you paid attention, even half-assed some of the classes in high school, is like an amazing foundation for the rest of your life. So, for me, just getting to kind of relive some of those memories and do that with you. Like, I'm not trying to unpack anything.
No, I understand that.
And then I think it's also a chance to reflect. Like, I just turned 33, right?
Oh, wow.
Well, how did that maybe, impact the life that I lead now or not? And that's okay too. But I think it's interesting subject matter to broach. I think for the most part, I was a very, very happy high schooler. I was pretty heavy until senior year of high school, which kind of sucked.
Fat?
Yeah.
Were you?
Oh, well, I didn't use I didn't say I was fat. Obviously, you've now.
I don't remember you being fat at all.
I'd say a chubster. But yeah, definitely. I wasn't like physically feeling so great. And then senior year, I came into school feeling like the best version of myself. Like, I took a summer to really get in shape.
Oh, really?
And I did stuff like what you're doing now, intermittent fasting.
You did that back then?
Yeah. I think that was the one thing that didn't click for me until senior year was just being physically, I think, in shape, feeling good, mentally strong on that side. But, when I came into high school, I had a core group of friends, and, I ran for class president with one of them, and I actually expected to lose, and didn't, and it was like set the tone for just an amazing 4 years, and I was so involved with everything. So I was having fun, but I also treated it like work, like very early on. I ran charities and all of the school events. I got super deep into it and just made student government kind of like a point of identity. And I think that again, having fun is one way to put it, but I also look at high school like it set the tone for the work ethic I'd have for kind of the rest of my life, but in the things that I cared about. So it's like schoolwork, maybe I still wasn't the best student, but I really thrust myself into what mattered to me, which was being a great leader in the school, and it was almost like a job. I felt like a leader in a community. Maybe, that sounds insane.
No, it doesn't at all. It actually, again, I think it falls in line with this feeling that you loved high school, because it's like when people love their job, they love their job.
Yeah.
When people like go to work because they have to, they don't love their job.
Yeah.
And I feel like every kid goes to class, and class is not what high school's about. It's about all these other things, and it makes sense, actually.
It was great. I don't know if you remember this. I used to do the announcements. It was so much fun. I'd pick on people, and I'd just, I'd like shout out to different teachers, and gradually I felt like I could walk around the halls, and literally I knew the name of almost every single person in the school. That was, empowering, right? It's just someone who cares about that stuff. And I think in full transparency, I've always been one of those people who thrives in smaller ponds. So, in a 1,000-person school, perfect. The Army, where I had, it's called a battalion, so a battalion of about 300 people, like, perfect, amazing. Kibbutz, I lived on a kibbutz. We'll get to that subject matter in Israel later, but I lived on a kibbutz, same kind of thing. Like, small communities, that's where I would really thrive. And now I'm in a city like Tel Aviv, nowhere near New York's population.
Right.
But, even there, I feel like it's small enough that I'm thriving there as well, because it's, a bit of a smaller.
So for you, a school like Great Neck North was perfect because of its size, but it also, like, there was something about Great Neck North that, like, allowed you to be that way in a way that you may not have been that way in a different school.
Yeah, for sure it's very comfortable to go to Great Neck North High School. I mean, I'm sure there are people even people who have been on your podcast who would disagree. But for me, as a Jewish kid growing up in Long Island, living a 10-minute walk from the school, not fearing anything in terms of crime or that sort of thing, having all the resources in the world, having great teachers, of course. I think Great Neck North High School was an amazing place to flourish and gives you that sense of comfort so that you can do things with confidence and explore with confidence.
Do you think running for office, I mean, obviously it became your life and your job, But like, how different do you think your life would have been had you not run for office, or had you lost when you thought you were going to lose that freshman year?
Well, it's very hard to project what would have happened, but I think that winning certainly gave me an air of confidence, and also it forced me into places of further discomfort. So getting to know people I otherwise wouldn't, for sure, is something that came out of that. And I think had I not done it and had I not been a part of student government, I wouldn't have the same skill set I have today. So public speaking, just being able to kind of, I don't know, plug myself into any scenario and take a non-biased stance, or know how to do conflict resolution, which again, you know, might sound insane, but even age 14, 15, 16, like dealing with these kinds of school issues, being in PTA meetings and, you know, sitting with even just like the rest of the student government in the class and having to discuss what's best for the class or what's best for the school, it gives you this decision making, or at least I think skills to make good decisions that otherwise would have taken me probably, you know, an extra 4 or 5 years to start to shape out, if ever. So I think it's a leg up. It's a huge leg up.
Yeah, to me, you said it doesn't make sense. To me, it makes perfect sense. What I find interesting is, like, you could have lost. Like, what happened that freshman year?
Actually, there's actually like a reason.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, I wasn't like the most popular kid in class. So I actually tagged a running mate, his name was Jordan Warner. And he was...
Oh, yeah. British guy. Love that kid.
Well, the one British kid, exactly. And then we called it the British American Alliance. And we ran as a duo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did. And then we won. And then they made a rule after that you could no longer do that. Like, you could... You know, there's no, like, Clinton Gore, right? Like, Bush Cheney. Like, that... No, you can't do that anymore. But at the time, it was Bours and Warner.
That's probably why you won. It's because you thought outside the box.
I don't know. I think I just got lucky, to be honest, that we were friends.
And he was British. There was an intrigue there, right? Because he was unique.
Yeah, I don't know that I was such a brilliant tactician. It was more that we were sitting next to each other, you know, in homeroom. I just pointed at him, you know.
Is that right?
Like, hey, so you want to be vice president, or should we do this? The idea was to put in people's heads, hey, a vote for the British guy,
right?
A vote for this fat kid.
And it worked.
Yeah, it did. Oh yeah, and then that year we ran I ran that year for vice president of the school and actually lost. So that's the one election I lost in high school. I mean,
it's hard to be a sophomore. You know, it's one thing to stand in front of your entire grade.
Yeah.
That's also risky and gutsy, and it takes a certain person to do it. I don't think I could have done it when I was in high school.
No.
What do you mean, no? You don't know.
I don't think you... Well, I don't...
You have no idea. What do you mean? What are you saying?
Let me interview you now, Mr. Why didn't you run for school?
I don't think I would. I would not have had the courage to stand in front of my whole grade. That's all I was trying to say. But thank you for the confidence or lack of it. But it's one thing to stand in front of your grade, but it's another thing to stand in front of the school and say, I am a sophomore, probably the youngest kid to ever, you know, be in office. Vote for me. And you lost, but that's okay. Did it impact you negatively when you lost?
So I went into this knowing that I would lose pretty much.
Oh,
there was a puncher's chance, but like, yeah, I think I ran against like 4 other people at the time, and most of them were juniors, and it made no sense that I would get elected.
Yeah.
But I did it anyway, and I think I was never proud of the speech I gave. It was like a very... You know, talk about cookie cutter. Like, you could have... now people write those speeches on ChatGPT.
Oh, right.
You know, you just like, hey, write me a generic speech for Vice President of Great Neck.
Why did you stay cookie cutter for the school?
I think out of nerves, not, you know, being afraid to kind of go...
Really?
Yeah, like you said, it's very different once you get in front of the entire school body to take a risk and give a speech that's out there. And I don't think I had that confidence at that moment. So I lost that election. End of sophomore year, I ran for vice president of the school again, and I changed it up a bit. So I became a little bit more myself. I decided to go a little bit more on the comedic side. Okay. So I put up posters. Here's an example. One of them said, "Don't be a baboon, vote for Aaron June." And that's how I got the Persian vote, which obviously, you know, so goes Ohio, so goes the nation, but so goes Colby, so goes Great Neck North High School. So
why don't you explain what that means? Because I think that's funny.
Oh, people are listening who don't know what that means.
People are listening who don't know what Aaron June means?
I don't even know. It's a sweet, endearing term for someone.
Right, Mama Farsi. June, this one June. I've heard that over the years.
So yeah, that seemed to work. And then there was a kid, he was a little nutty in our class, and he was running around screaming at everybody to vote for me. And that
to vote for you?
Yeah, to vote for me. And,
Persian?
Yeah.
Because of the Aaron June.
Because of the Aaron June, sure. No, I was also, very supportive of the Persian community. And honestly, again, if you can get the Persian vote, you can swing the election.
It's all great neck north.
Yeah.
Was that something you actually thought of when you were writing that poster?
Yes, absolutely. I didn't write it for the Ashkenazi Jewish.
No, I know, but did you write it thinking okay, I need a way to capitalize on the fact that these Persian kids could like me if I do something that make them like me?
Yeah, I don't know that it was that desperate as you're making it sound. Please like me, please. No, I didn't send kebab to their house. No, I made signs that I thought would resonate and elicit some kind of laughter.
We're really analyzing this.
Yeah. So that helped. And then my whole speech was jokes from comedies that came out 2 to 3 years prior. So Anchorman, Dodgeball, Zoolander. I don't know if you remember this, but I gave a speech to the school, which I was petrified to give, because in my head it's all right, this is either going to land and everyone's going to be dying, cracking up, on the floor, fucking hysterically laughing, right? Or just cricket silence. I'm going to never live this down, never show my face again.
You had that conscious thought, though, that those were the two options. It was only those two options.
Up until 24 hours before, I was weighing a different speech. So I was weighing the more, toned down speech. I was weighing whether I do it in the accent or not. I did the whole speech sounding like Zoolander. I emulated the Zoolander voice. I'm not going to do
it. Why not?
No, it's been a very long time.
Just do it. Do one joke.
Okay. Okay, so one of the jokes, this is typical student government humor. It's about the vending machines. Everyone has to make a joke about the food in the cafeteria or the vending machines. So I was the machines are always eating my dollars. We should be eating from the machines. The machines shouldn't be eating from us.
That's good. Well, that actually is funny, though.
So a lot of jokes like that. And they landed. And that was awesome. And I was also there running against, I think, 4 people who were, about to be seniors. And I was about to be juniors. So, of course, on paper, the odds are always against, the younger classmen. But
yeah, but they split the votes. You got it's all the juniors vote for Aaron June, and then the seniors split the votes.
Yeah.
So you actually had an advantage, probably.
Yeah, it's a good point too. But I definitely attribute it to the speech as well.
Sorry to ruin this feeling that you had. No, how proud you were.
Yeah, I guess it's just that they split the votes, and then I was the leftover. After splitting those, I was the crumbs left after splitting the senior cake of votes. Thanks for that.
You're gonna regret coming here. No, okay, no, I'm kidding. That's great.
I actually have a meeting I've got to run. No, so that was good.
Oh my god! Okay,
that was great. And then
so you won that.
Yeah,
and you became vice president of the school. That's a big deal.
It was fun. Wow. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I was lucky because the president of the school at that time was Josh Mogul. So he ran and won, and I really respected Josh. I think he was awesome.
Still is.
He was he's a true leader. Fun to be part of his crew. At the time, I think I could have done more, but he was such a machine.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Was he's in politics now. I mean, it's not surprising.
Yeah, but no, he's just a work ethic, and there's a degree of seriousness that he brought to it that made, because student government can be a joke, right? We're talking about it at length now, in depth. In fact, this is actually a Guinness World Record for the analysis done on student government in high school. It's amazing. I thought this whole thing would be about the Israeli army, but this is great.
Listen, it's all about high school.
But yeah, so student government can be a joke. I mean,
it often is.
It often is.
Yeah.
But Josh took it really seriously, which I think inspired the rest of us to take it really seriously. And we did a lot of good for the school. And then I ran for president of the school going into my senior year.
And you won?
I did take it really seriously, and Senior year was amazing. I had a struggle that was, okay, I want to be one of like the kids who has a lot of fun, who drinks, who, but I also take it super seriously that the school should succeed and I should succeed in it. And I think I tried to balance that. And it honestly meant being friends with some very, very different people. So I had my core group of friends, but I was friends with the kids who were off to, the Ivies, and I was also friends with kids who were going to stay and go to community college. Not that that's how I look at a spectrum, but I just mean I was friends with kids who cared a lot and friends with kids who didn't. I was friends with kids who studied a ton, friends with kids who didn't study at all. And I think that came with also being in politics or the school, but also came with my own struggle of, where do I fit on this spectrum? Like, where do I belong? And that carried with me for quite some time. Only recently, I think, in my career did I find the right place for me and the right balance in that on that spectrum. So,
okay. And so it sounds like your whole life you've wanted to be like that guy that kind of stood out in, like you said, this small pond, and that kind of takes us maybe to the next phase of your life, right?
Yeah. So, absolutely. So I was a college dropout, right?
I don't know. I didn't know that.
Oh, so sorry. I was a college dropout. Period. Sorry. I didn't...
Where'd you go to college?
So, I sneaked my way into Skidmore. Like I got Skidmore College. Yeah, which is the opposite place that I should have gone, and it just doesn't fit.
Well, it fits. The only thing it fits is that it's a very small school where you could stand out and be like the big fish, but it's also
right. But among people that I didn't like.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you don't seem to fit in a place like Skidmore at all.
Never visit a college when there's no students there. So it's like, oh, this is a pretty building, but you didn't really get a sense of, hey, what's the school about? What's its DNA? What's the culture?
But why did you apply to Skidmore? That seems like that's not even like a typical thing in Great Neck to do. You just wanted a small school?
I applied to school. So I was big. Wow, we didn't talk about this at all. But I was big in community school in high school. I was in CS.
Yep.
So CS is the best thing that has ever happened to me. Maybe except meeting my fiance.
That's a bold statement, by the way, after everything you've just mentioned. So talk about why.
So CS, community school, like today everyone talks about safe space. Like that was a thing that came out in the last couple of years, wanting a safe space and wanting everyone to be able to express themselves without any judgment. CS was that, but it wasn't forced. And it was that before it was like a trend or a fad or something to lock you into a system. It was just a safe space for everyone who was in it to address controversial topics, to be themselves, to open up. And the level of education of that program rivals, in my opinion, some of the best creative writing programs in the U.S. And that's a testament to the way the program's built and the way you grow across the 3 years you're in it, right? So it starts sophomore year, and it eats up 3 out of the 9 periods on your schedule. So you've got social studies, English, and then you've got lunch together, so a meeting period. That's actually eating together and discussing like topics and presentations and having fun, and it's something that adults today would pay for, like because you go there. First of all, you sit in a circle, which in and of itself is just, it was a revolutionary idea for high school. It's like, oh my god, we're not going to sit in rows. That's wild. The prompts that you're getting, are like real world prompts that you have to write for. Not have to, but you will eventually, right? And so some of the things that were coming out from these students, it's like 15-year-olds were expressing things they never told anybody. I mean, obviously sexual orientation came up.
Yeah.
Sexual experiences came up. Issues with identity, being trapped in an identity or something like that. So, also we had a few Persian kids in the class that would talk about their struggles and being in this rigid, a little bit more of a conservative household. Like all of these things were broached, topics that you would never ever break into in a sophomore English class normally. Like no fucking sophomore English teacher is gonna ask the kids to start sharing about what happens in their bedroom at home, and here it came out naturally. And so you develop this feeling of trust, openness. You were able to share at an earlier age, so you were able to build confidence about those stories. And I think it gave all of us in CS just a huge leg up. Our emotional intelligence, was just sharpened that much. And the knowledge, I mean, I can't speak to the collective GPA or whatever of CS, but I can tell you that each one of these individuals is smart as shit. Really just amazing human beings with great character. And yeah, I think that again, I was like, a catapult, for me at least, into life after high school because of those skills that were developed in CS and refined in other ways throughout Great Neck North High School.
So that was by far the best description of CS that anyone's ever given. We all would want a place like that. Who doesn't want a place? And especially when everything's so like, in high school, you don't trust anyone.
Yeah.
Like, to be yourself, like nobody wants to be themselves in high school.
Yeah.
That's like the most significant thing. So the fact that you could, even 3 periods a day, is a big deal. And then that gives you the confidence to then be yourself even more than other people would be the rest of the day. Yeah. And maybe even the rest of your life.
Yeah, and it's again, the word community is in it. I mean, you really learn what it is to trust a community, to build a community, to sharpen a community, to trust a community.
Great. Okay, so talk about how that impacted you, not just in high school, but it seems like it impacted you beyond.
Yeah. So I chased, when I thought about going to college, first of all, I was never excited about going to college. I think that's...
Well, you were the big man on campus in high school, right? There's a part of it that's like you were...
Too attached.
Like, to high school.
Yeah. I definitely had trouble letting go. Absolutely. I say that, not as it's just a fact. I had trouble letting go. I think the thought of college scared the shit out of me because I had worked so hard to bring myself to this point, and because high school was so impactful for me, and I felt like I had completely squeezed the lemon, and it was tough to think about what was next, and tough thinking about also investing myself in another place for 4 years to build that back up. Genuinely, I wasn't in a place mentally and a place that aligned with those goals as it relates to college. I didn't feel such a strong drive or desire to go get a college degree at that moment, and it felt like I was there because I was supposed to be, because that's the track. And gap years now I think are a little more popular than they were then, but gap years then were seen as like, I don't know if you remember, but there was some stigma around gap years. Absolutely. It's like, oh, okay, mommy and daddy's money, and now we're gonna travel, and they're rich, right. Or okay, they're lazy and they don't want to study, or there was a stigma around gap years, and so I was like, okay, well, I'll definitely try this first year of college and see how it goes. And I came home that summer, and I knew in my heart of hearts throughout that entire year that I did not belong in college at that moment in my life. And it was hard because up until then, I think, there were some expectations, and I think everyone just assumes that, they'll go to college and things will be amazing and they'll have all these fun memories and join a frat or right. whatever. In an alternative timeline, like, I absolutely could have transferred to a school where a friend was going and, joined a frat and had a completely different experience and would have, now been settled down with 2 kids in Great Neck, New York. Possibly.
Yeah, literally. No, it's so interesting.
Completely met a girl from Long Island who, shares my taste in large coffees from Deli on the Green, and likes Bagel Hut at 4 a.m. And that's and that would be it. But that's not what happened at all. And I had this feeling for a while that I wanted to move to Israel. I just did not know in what capacity.
Are you Israeli?
And my parents met in Israel.
Oh.
So I'm not Israeli. My parents lived there for years when they were in their 20s.
Oh.
And my dad is Dutch. I don't know if so he's fully Dutch, and he moved from Holland to Israel.
Oh.
And while he was on a kibbutz volunteering, they sent him to this ulpan to learn Hebrew, right? So my mom and my dad were actually in the same place learning Hebrew, and then they became friends, and then eventually fell in love and moved back to New York together. So, yeah, parents met in Israel, and they brought us back. They had tons of friends there and tons of history, and it brought us back time and time again as kids. So I'd been to Israel at this point 6 times, which, is comparatively to people from the U.S., it's a lot. And I knew I wanted to do something special in Israel, and I really didn't know what that looked like. And I was reading a newspaper in my house in Great Neck, and it must have been June or July or something of that summer, and I saw an article about the IDF, and it sounds bizarre that would be the trigger.
Yeah.
But it kind of I was in that phase anyway, looking at, okay, what can I do in Israel? Should I move there just for a year? Should I just move to a kibbutz? Should I try to study there? Because they have a school that actually a lot of great neckers went to. It was called IDC Herzliya. But eventually I saw this article about the Israeli Defense Forces, and I was like, that is exactly what I'm looking for at this juncture in my life.
Why?
Because I think I wanted something that was meaningful, impactful, completely challenging and new, and something that was a cause that I believed in. And I'd always been a strong Israel supporter. I'd always gone to the Israel Day parade every day since I was a kid, and I'd always been in Hebrew school and synagogue, and I always followed the news with Israel. And my connection to Israel was very, very strong.
Of course.
And I thought about what I could do in that country and how I could actually make this an impactful move. And it felt like anything else but that after thinking about it. It's like once you have that idea,
yeah, of course,
anything else is like now kind of second tier.
Mm-hmm.
And it was still a struggle to like wrap my head around what that looks like and how long. And actually, there's a website for volunteering because a lot of people do it. I didn't know this at the time. There's 5,000 lone soldiers every year.
Wow.
In the Israeli Defense Forces. So 5,000 Jews around the world who don't have parents in Israel, who aren't Israeli, fly to Israel and like volunteer in the army for an extended period of time.
Really?
How wild is that?
Very wild.
Yeah. So I wasn't alone.
Yeah.
And services existed for this. So there were two. One is like you can join a group of internationals like who are going, and you kind of form this camp together, or you go completely solo. So of course I chose the latter because that's the dumbest thing I could have done. But yeah, it was this program where you just need a letter from your rabbi basically saying you're Jewish and you're set, and they'll give you a gun.
Oh, is that right?
No, not exactly. But yeah, you get a letter from your rabbi proving you're Jewish. You go there. They make you stay there 3 months before you enlist so that they know that you're serious. So like they make you stay for 3 months also so that you don't realize, oh, Israelis are fucking difficult people, and now you're going to run away after they invest in you in boot camp.
Oh, okay.
So for 3 months I was on this kibbutz, and I was working in the desert, the Negev desert, and I was like waking up with the sun and picking all these vegetables and driving a tractor, and
Really?
I had this wild 3 months, yeah. I started to learn Hebrew, met amazing friends that I'm still friends with today from Ecuador. Random as fuck. They weren't even Jewish. They now have converted to Judaism. It's a wild story in and of itself. And then I enlisted. I went to combat, one of the 5 combat brigades. It's called Givati. And I was there for 2 years in combat. So boot camp, advanced training, and then we were stationed in the West Bank for a while.
Wow.
So that was 2 years of my life there. Yeah, I mean, it completely changed who I am. Like I remained, I think, a little bit of a jokester and a people person and that sort of thing, but it definitely it whipped me into a different kind of shape.
But how so? What did you need?
In what sense?
Well, I don't know. You were your best self senior year of high school, right? Then you went to Skidmore, didn't love it. Then you went to the IDF, and you said you needed to be whipped into shape. But in what sense did you need to be...
I was my best self as a teenager.
No, I get it, but like that's what I'm saying. What changed? What did it do?
So, if I can summarize it in a few sentences,
yeah.
I think I went into the army as a kid, and I came out feeling completely like an adult, capable of taking on any challenge physically in just a different form. I think more... Well, I'm trying to think of the right word here, but... I don't want to say more lethal. That sounds horrible.
No, but I am curious though. In general, I think of like my son. I think at some point it might be a good thing for him. Like, so what did you? So, is it like as corny as like you went in a kid and came out a man, or like?
Are you saying that was a corny?
That's a little corny, but like,
comment
but meaning like it's a profound comment. It's just like it's so trite, but like maybe that is exactly what it was.
But yeah, look what I think that throughout my time in the army, there are challenges that came about, situations that, required quick thinking, that reveal a person's core values, that sort of thing. Things that make you self-aware, things that make you understand who it is that you are. And maybe that sounds a bit corny, but I think that that's exactly what the army reveals, especially the Israeli army, where there are very much instances, and I think it's one of the most moral armies in the world, and I don't want to get into Israeli politics.
Yeah, of course.
But there are times where, you question what you're doing, you question where you are, you question the decision to even suit up in the uniform in the first place, and you have to answer those questions quite often. And there are scenarios where it's dangerous, there's scenarios where you have an internal conflict, there's scenarios where courage is asked of you where you didn't expect to have any to give in that capacity, in that way. And I think that all of that combined at the end gives you a depth of knowledge of yourself, a depth of understanding of yourself that just is hard to get anywhere else. Certainly, age 18 to 22 on a college level. And I don't knock, of course, secondary education. Like, I definitely did go to college, and I recommend that everyone go to college. I just think at that age, what I really needed was that. And maybe that's an intense way of looking at things. And if I look at my life coming out of senior year of high school, I didn't really need to put all of that on myself at that age, but I wanted to. And I knew that it would make me a better person. I knew that it would make me happy to come out of that and have succeeded. Which, by the way, when I told everyone I was going to the Israeli army, they looked at me like I was a fucking idiot.
Really?
Like I had 10 heads. Yeah.
When you say everyone, do you mean your friends, family?
I had a friend who was like visibly upset and then asked me to like drop him off on the side of the road when I told him in the car. Yeah, he was like, yeah, I'm still very close to them today, but it was just a very funny, he's like, you're throwing your life away.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my parents will tell you, like, they almost take credit for the idea, but they were vehemently like against this idea completely. Like, my mom, was crying, oh my God, what have I done wrong? my son. My dad, he thought I was just, I don't know, like blowing smoke up everyone's ass, and I was never going to really do it. Which was also great to feel like, okay, I'm proving it
from your dad.
Yeah. Yeah, really great votes of confidence all around. But
well, it probably pushed you in a way,
yeah,
to make you really do it.
Yeah,
to prove everyone wrong.
But it was for my, yeah. But it was for me.
Yeah,
it was for me, and I think that I wanted that feeling. I craved that feeling, and it's an ego thing too. Admittedly,
of course, yeah.
It's very much about ego, and it's very much, on the one hand, of course, it's giving yourself to something greater. If you believe in of course, the existence of Israel and the defense of Israel, it's giving yourself to something much greater than yourself, and there is something noble, I guess, in that act. But I would be lying if I said this wasn't personally just, for myself as well, a selfish act to discover more about myself, to have these stories, to have these challenges as part of my, history and background. And I'm lucky that despite being in places of danger, nothing, I thank God, beyond rocks being thrown at me and some Molotov cocktails here and there on the Jeeps and stuff like that, I was never in some crazy firefight where I lost friends. I did lose friends, but on different in different brigades and things like that. But I was never, truly damaged from it, I want to say.
Right. And in fact, you were the opposite. You were totally changed in a positive way. It's interesting that you bring up like the fact that like you're acknowledging this selfish goal of yours to do this. And that's always like, when you do something good for someone, like, does it have to be purely because you want them to be happy, or could it also be?
You can keep going in circles about it too, because you can say like, no, I really, really wanted them to be happy. It's like, right,
because you
really, really wanted them to be happy. Exactly.
Right.
Like it was for you.
It's nice to be able to do something that you enjoy. It's sort of like teaching for me. Like, I enjoy it. I'm not doing it for the kids, but I love it, and I'm glad that kids like you want to come back and have a conversation with me. Reminisce. Because I did something selfish that I liked, even though it positively impacted you. So another connection.
Well, that's the dream, though, right? I mean, that's the goal. I think everyone now, especially class of 2008, like kind of in this point of our careers where things are starting to get a little bit settled. So it's like the phase of exploration continues, but most people have a track. Most people have a thing they're doing that they're specializing in. But, for the most part, like, we're all trying to find things that do exactly what you just talked about, that give both. So obviously a feeling of self-assurance and self gratitude, or hey, this is fun for me and I enjoy this, but also how am I positively impacting everyone else? And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's the opposite. It's the greatest way to live, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I, at a young age, I think I found that with the Army, very different, obviously, in a different capacity, and there are people who love the IDF, and there are people who think the IDF is, Satan's army.
Of course.
Whatever, that is on Instagram, I don't know.
Yeah, a lot these days.
Yeah, for sure. But for me, it was definitely I think it set the tone for my time in Israel, and just me as an adult, and who I was going to be, and what kind of values I wanted to bring to the table. So the Army... definitely, joining the IDF was I think a pivotal moment in my life, and I still do it today, by the way. So once you're in combat, you're in the reserves, and only a small portion of Israel actually does it and shows up. But I'm in the reserves until I'm about 40 years old.
Huh. What if you lived out of Israel?
So they don't make you come back.
Oh.
If there's a war, a lot of people do come back. So
they want to come back.
So yeah, if there's an operation or a war, the last one we were in was 2014. That's when I was on the border of Gaza, and that was some freaky stuff.
Wow.
But 2014 is the last time they called everybody up in my unit. Hopefully it doesn't happen again soon. There are rockets, once every 2 years there's a barrage of rockets, and then everyone, it's like, all right, let me get my uniform out, and everything's on the bed, and the boots are sitting there, and I'm just waiting, like, all right, just call us already. But hopefully that doesn't happen anytime soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're in the reserves for life, basically.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I have it, actually. We're supposed to go to the West Bank in April 16th for 3 weeks. So, I have a team of 14 people that I manage, but, I'll just get up and go for 3 weeks to the Army in the West Bank.
How does that work with your job?
In Israel, it's illegal to penalize someone for doing the reserves.
It's not even just illegal. It's probably it's just not done.
Well, first of all, such a small percentage of the country does it. So whoever does it at this point, it's like,
got it. Okay.
Leave them alone.
Right.
Poor them. Leave them alone. They're not heroes, but lay off. All right. But yeah, it's not like the boss can come and say, "Oh, you can't leave for a month. You're fired." That doesn't exist. So there's a lot of leniency. There's a lot of pride in doing it.
Yeah, of course.
Depends where you are in the country. Obviously, I think it's the same in the U.S. In the urban centers, so like Tel Aviv, it's not as cool to be in the army.
Got it.
Just like in New York City and in Los Angeles, it's like I don't think it's as well revered. But yeah, so that's part of the life there. It's very. And when there's an operation, when there's a war, everyone is very much, it's crazy. You walk into a convenience store to pick up some groceries and stuff, and the guy behind the counter, is like, just take it.
Take it. Wow. They respect it. It's great.
It's one of those.
Any other interesting stories that happened in the Army that are worth sharing before we go on to career stuff?
Yeah, so I'll share a few. I think it's important to say that any time we were in the West Bank, it was... there's high alert when something happens in New York City. So, there was a shooting in the Brooklyn subway, what was it, a year ago or something like that, and everyone's on high alert. In the West Bank, times that by about 10 on just an average day where nothing has happened. You're always on high alert.
Right.
And the reason being is because at any given moment, someone can decide to try and hurt either a soldier or a Jew. And... basically, I'll tell you that things I've seen, people throwing appliances off the roof, of houses in the West Bank. Yeah, there was a fridge that dropped about 20 feet from me, a fucking refrigerator, just flop, from 4 or 5 stories up. Obviously,
they're trying to kill you.
Weaponizing appliances, yeah, because sometimes those are the weapons they have, right? The number one weapon in the West Bank is a rock. That's it's flinging rocks, which if thrown directly at your head will do the job. So it's a pretty scary place to be. I'll say that as a soldier there, you never feel, of course, comfortable, and on the one hand you don't want to be there, and on the other hand, as long as there's innocent civilians there that need protection, you kind of have to be there. So it's a pretty damned situation. Not that I'm saying anything relatively new for anyone listening.
Of course.
But the idea that we can just ignore it or leave it alone doesn't work unless it's completely evacuated, which is also not really a solution at this point. So it's a very, very scary place to be. Appliances, rocks, Molotov cocktails. That's happened to me multiple times. So you're in a Jeep and someone throws like Molotov cocktail.
These are people in Israel?
No, this is in the West Bank. So these are Palestinians. Well, in Israel we've had our share of violence. I don't know if you're aware, but like in the past couple of years we've had a lot of terrorist activity, one-offs in Tel Aviv that are pretty alarming. Like it's a new wave of terrorism. It's things like a shooting on Dizengoff Street where it's 3 guys. Just now this happened. 3 guys on their way to a wedding, my age, Palestinian terrorists shot 3 people. Yeah, I mean that's new and very, very difficult to combat because you need to prop up the economy there. Propping up the economy is what's going to help a lot of these people think twice about maybe committing acts of violence. So you need to allow them into Israel to work. But if they're in Israel and they decide to carry out acts of violence, this is the spillover, right? It's like a shooting on Dizengoff, which is the equivalent of like a shooting in Times Square. Okay?
Oh, that's what I was wondering. I don't know what the...
Dizengoff Street is like the main... It's like Broadway, I guess. If I had to compare it to a street. It's
like a main street.
It's like literally,
with a lot of people.
Right. Like the most people. It's Rothschild Street and then Dizengoff Street. So it's pretty wild. And then, those types of things happen near bustling bars and restaurants. Meanwhile, 2 hours later, Israelis are still out drinking and celebrating because Israelis can't be shaken by these things anymore. Yeah, people were, they did a circle around where these 3 men were shot and sang the next day with flowers, and it's a beautiful scene. Obviously, a horrifying event.
Yeah.
But despite having so much resolve, it's a pretty scary thing. So those are the things that happen in Israel. But in the West Bank, we're talking about just, obviously a clear hatred that's persistent. It's not every Palestinian, for sure not. And there are proponents of peace there. But absolutely, as a soldier, when you're there, you feel completely uncomfortable, and rightfully so. And I've had all types of things thrown at me. So.
It's so crazy. Yeah.
So
wow.
I had no rotten tomatoes thrown at me during my high school speeches. But I have had rotten tomatoes thrown at me while being a soldier in
fridges. Interesting.
So that's the army story. And the craziest ones, I guess, were during the operation in 2014. So being on the border with Gaza.
Oh.
Mortar shells hitting our encampment, so we had like a base right by there. That was the scariest thing for me. And then one of the most, I want to say, like a thriller movie almost, or a horrifying scene. We were on the border and we actually saw, there's tunnels that come in from Gaza to Israel, and that's how they try to penetrate some of the settlements and kill civilians. And we saw people coming out of the tunnel, like,
oh my God.
Hamas soldiers. And once you see that, it's a different, you always know about it, but once you see it live, it just changed. It changed my, perception of this fight almost. It's like, it's one thing to have rocks thrown at you, and it's one thing to, even the mortar shells, but once you see people coming out of a tunnel that have crawled through, miles of tunnels because they just really want to kill somebody across that fence. It's like a horrifying thing to see. It's like, and they're like 20 something. That this is like a 21-year-old kid who like doesn't really fucking get even why the consequences of murder, and maybe they do. I don't know. But that was probably the scariest or horrifying thing I've seen.
So what'd you do with those people?
Soldiers. So we shot in their general direction.
So crazy. It's like that could change.
You shoot and they get back into the tunnel and they run away.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
God, unbelievable.
So I went into the IDF for 2 years, got out, and then I was on a kibbutz, which is like a small commune. These are like classic Israeli settlements. These are like when originally people came to Israel and started these small little villages and gated communities. So that's what a kibbutz is. And I was on one for a year after that. bartending and just having the absolute time of my life.
Oh.
This one was in the north, called Ein Gev. We were right on the Sea of Galilee, where Jesus allegedly walked on water. Yeah, well,
have you tried it? Or?
So I did.
It didn't work.
I did try it. Yeah. So my first step, I guess you could, if that's considered walking. So I did take that first step, and sure enough, after the first step, I was in the water, not on the water. So I'm not sure if that was the same. Like, if that's the interpretation of that
Got
story.
it. You never know.
But anyway, Sea of Galilee, gorgeous, palm trees, amazing place to be. Had a different Israeli girlfriend there, and it was just an amazing time. And then I decided, okay, I'm about to be 22. I'm going to go to school now.
Oh, wow.
That's when all my friends are graduating.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yep, that's when all my friends are graduating, and seemingly I'm very behind. But life's never like that. So I went to IDC Herzliya. Which is a good school. It's, they've got good English programs in Israel, and it's not near the level of education of,
Got it.
right, but it's a good school in Israel, considered a good school. So I went there, studied business and marketing, had an amazing 3 years. Also there I was indeed like class president.
Were you really? You're doing back to your roots.
So yeah.
Right, don't you find it interesting because I always find it interesting how a high school, life impacts a current day. And we started this conversation by talking about how there's no real story with you. It's just you had a great time in high school. But I think there is a story. There's a story about a kid that loves high school so much and uses the tools he or she learns in high school to be not just their best self when you lose weight as a senior, but to be your best self as a member of the world.
Well, I think that's accurate, and I don't shy away from the fact that I had an amazing 4 years in high school. I also don't rest on those laurels, and obviously, I'm in Israel now. This is almost my 14th year in Israel, which is wild.
Wow.
So, obviously, I've moved very far away from Great Neck, but in a again very corny way, I've taken a lot of Great Neck with me for sure,
yes.
And everything that came from high school has positively affected, my career and my growth as a man. And when people ask me about growing up in Great Neck, and people make fun of Great Neck all the time, right? Like, I don't know if that's news to...
No, it's not news.
People make fun of Great Neck. They have stigmas about Great Neck, and when they ask me about Great Neck, I look at them dead in the eyes like, you don't fucking say a word about Great Neck in a non-favorable light.
That's it.
I loved growing up in that setting and being in Israel with Jews from 86 different countries and Jews from all over the U.S. and really just a huge melting pot of people from all over the world, actually, not just Jews. I really feel we had a huge leg up.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I liked at the end to kind of like say like if you could pick a moment in high school, but I don't see that being relevant with you. It's like your whole high school picture. It's like the whole movie is important, not just like a scene, Yeah,
I think it'd be hard to say there was some one pivotal moment. I think getting on stage and giving speech to the whole school and kind of revealing myself to the school as being, this kind of vibrant, funny guy and also serious, but also...
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that might be one of the most... Because that was something I was close to avoiding. So I think if there is a moment where I would say, okay, this was pivotal for me, it was probably getting on that stage in front of the whole school and giving something that I was scared to give, which was that speech. It seems trivial, right?
No, it doesn't seem trivial.
Talking about a 3-minute speech, right?
It seems very untrivial, but it also, what I always like to give like advice to current kids, and I think you were a kid who really, this word thrived is overused, but it really is significant what it means. You thrived in high school, and not everyone does. Is there advice you would give to a high school kid that in any capacity would make their high school life better and maybe in turn make their life better?
Hell yeah. Put people first. Put people first. Be about a community. Be about bringing people together. Be about, meeting new people and fostering new relationships. I think it's the greatest strength I have is that I learned to do that at an early age. I did it through student government, but there's a million ways to do it. You can do it through sport. You can do it through extracurricular, art club. I don't know what kind of clubs they have today, but
okay, whatever it is. There's plenty.
But you can do that through all these different outlets and find a way to connect with people and put them first, and everything else falls into place. I think that's what I did through government, and it, first of all, led to a lot of friendships that are still very relevant today. I mean, and just it'll give you that skill set forever, whatever pond you end up swimming in for the rest of your life. So I think that's my main advice is people, relationships matter, put them first.
Okay, good. Because I thought you were going to say, based on the pivotal moment, get yourself out of your comfort zone any way you can, because you did mention that a few times, and I think you saying that you were one decision away from not even giving the speech, right? At any moment you could have been like, I'm not going to give the speech. And I can think of so many moments in my life where I thought about doing something and then I wound up doing it or not doing it, and then doing it led to so many different things that I think another piece of advice that you may not have put out there, but you've expressed in your own story is, if you're on the fence at any point about doing something that puts yourself out of your comfort zone, do it.
Absolutely. I think that's the action-based advice maybe that I'd give. But when I think about the goal, like, why did I want to break from my comfort zone so badly, or why did I allow myself to do that, or force myself to find the courage to do it? It's with that goal in mind of, okay, I want to be people-oriented, and I want to foster good relationships, and I want to connect on a large-scale level with the school, and this is what I need to do it.
Got it.
And I think that's the difference there. Like, the goal for me was connecting with a lot of people and fostering more relationships, and the way to do it, like anything you really, really want in life, is to break through some kind of barrier and get uncomfortable.
Do you like how the conversation went?
I do. I think we went in a bunch of different directions, but that makes sense because my life kind of went in a bunch of different directions.
That's great.
This was amazing, and honestly, I don't think I've talked this much about high school ever, including while in high school. I don't think I talked this much about being in high school. So
did it feel good to do that? Like, was it?
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to reminisce, and I think you said it best when I look back now at my life and I kind of reverse engineer where I am today. So I think almost everything stems from those 4 years. Just you can trace it back.
Really, yeah.
It's almost like high school matters.
Almost.
And on that note,
that's it.
I'm
done.
Randy Appel. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. All right, good stuff. Aaron June. I want to thank my guest and former student, Aaron Bours, for not only the bravery and leadership he showed in high school, but most significantly, for his courage in the new fight he is about to face. Sadly, just 5 months after we spoke, Hamas attacked, and Aaron was called to serve on the front lines in Gaza. And as proud as I am of him, it pains me to think that this thoughtful, brave, witty, and extremely intelligent young man is now in harm's way. And so many of his words during what I remembered as a lighthearted discussion now seem so profound.
There's a website for volunteering, because a lot of people do it. I didn't know this at the time. There's 5,000 lone soldiers every year in the Israeli Defense Forces. So 5,000 Jews around the world who don't have parents in Israel, who aren't Israeli, fly to Israel and volunteer in the army for an extended period of time. I'll say that as a soldier there, you never feel, of course, comfortable, and on the one hand, you don't want to be there, and on the other hand, as long as there's innocent civilians there that need protection, you have to be there. So I think it's important to say that any time we were in the West Bank, there's high alert when something happens in New York City. So, there was a shooting in the Brooklyn subway. In the West Bank, times that by about 10 on just an average day where nothing has happened. And the reason being is because at any given moment, someone can decide to try and hurt either a soldier or a Jew. It's one thing to have rocks thrown at you, and it's one thing to even the mortar shells. But once you see people coming out of a tunnel that have crawled through, miles of tunnels because they just really want to kill somebody across that fence, it's like a horrifying thing to see. If there's a war, a lot of people do come back. The last one we were in was 2014. That's when I was on the border of Gaza, but 2014 was the last time they called everybody up. Hopefully it doesn't happen again soon.